Pursuant to Internal Revenue Service guidance, be advised that any federal tax advice contained in this program is not intended to be used, and it cannot be used by any person or entity for the purpose of avoiding any tax penalties that may be imposed by the Internal Revenue Service or any other U.S. federal taxing authority or agency, or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any transaction or matter addressed in this show. The opinions expressed by the host and the guests are their own and may not be used as authoritative advice. Any use of this material without the written consent of the host is strictly prohibited.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy, on AM 560, The Answer. Tune in every week at 5 for an informative discussion about IRS obligations, credit card debt, mortgage default, collection activity, and how to resolve these legal issues using tax resolution, debt settlement, mortgage loan modification, foreclosure defense, and bankruptcy. Your host is Stephen Leahy, a Chicago attorney and the principal at OPM Tax Resolution and the law office of Stephen A. Leahy, P.C. Stephen is the author of Deal with Your IRS Problems Today. IRS and debt issues are serious, but there is help. There are resolutions. So get ready and take notes during the IRS Radio Hour. And now, here's your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy.
Hello, Chicago. Welcome to the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer. I want to remind our listeners that the show is sponsored by OPM Tax Resolution and the law office of Stephen A. Leahy, P.C.
God bless them.
Yes. We help people dealing with IRS problems, audits, levies, liens, garnishments, collections, and payroll tax issues. We also deal with mortgage foreclosures, loan modifications, bankruptcy, and other debt-related issues. So if you have any of these problems, or if you know someone who does, then they should pick up the phone and give us a call at 312-664-6649. I want to introduce my co-host, Jim Leahy.
Hello, Chicago. If it's Sunday at 5, it's the IRS Radio Hour. This week, we hope that nobody's watching the Bears are over, so at least we know that we have our regular. That's right. That was
Bears. The Bears.
That's beautiful. Okay, boys, hold it down. This is a show about helping people with their financial trouble, and Steve's right. It's important that we have a local person to help with your stuff, but we also we like to keep our audience up to date on news, sports, local politics, even some family stuff. So we try to bring the show. We try to make a show a little bit more personal, and so this week we're going to talk about mortgage modifications. We're going to talk about we have our regular saga. We have of the IRS saga. We have a question from a real listener question. Well, I'm only kidding. Dr. Richard Fader is a fine listener.
I think we're going to change the name of that segment to Dr. Richard Fader has a question.
From Fort Wayne, New Jersey. Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's right. He moved to Indiana.
I think that's what we're going to do.
Well, like I said, we like to talk about the Bears. Did a fine job last week. There they go. We like to talk about it's very sad to watch them rip down the...
I saw the pictures of Wrigley Field, and bleachers. That whole left bleachers are taken down.
Yes.
And they just redid that several years ago, but the pictures are kind of disheartening. Now, I understand why they're doing it, and I'm so glad that I was there the last night. So I took a lot of pictures of that left field bleachers.
We'll even put them up on our Facebook page. And what's the name of our Facebook page?
It's OPM Tax, so Facebook/OPM Tax, OPEM Tax.
I thought we had we're going to have
one. Ever talk about what it's called OPM? OPM is a Latin word. It means help.
Oh, that's very nice.
That's right.
I thought we were going to have our own IRS Radio Hour page.
Oh, wait, I do have the IRS Radio Hour page. That's right. Well, I have this.
You know what IRS means? It means help me.
I understand. That's not Latin.
Let's move on. We're going to run out of some time here. We like to talk. What's the news of the week, Steve? Of course, there's really only.
I know, but we've been talking a lot about Ebola. And I didn't really want to talk about it, but you can't help it, Jim. No. It's everywhere.
That's right, because we locked ourselves in the closet and we haven't come out. Only to do this show.
It's like a bull in a closet.
Well, this week, the problem with the Ebola is, we're going to start out with one thing. Let's listen to our Commander-in-Chief.
First and foremost, I want the American people to know that our experts here at the CDC and across our government agree that the chances of an Ebola outbreak here in the United States are extremely low.
Well, at least the experts agree.
No, listen
that's
to
our
this,
government.
because here's the expert.
There are two different parts of that equation. The first is if you're a member of the traveling public and are healthy, should you be worried that you might have gotten it by sitting next to someone? And the answer is no. Second, if you are sick and you may have Ebola, should you get on a bus? And the answer to that is also no. You might become ill. You might have a problem that exposes someone around you.
So I understand the consistency, kind of. They're saying, hey, don't panic. We don't really have a problem. You can't catch it, but then it kind of implies
unless somebody gets on the bus next to you, who has it?
They're kind of implying that you can't catch it on the bus, but then they say, but if you have it, don't get on the bus because you could pass it.
Then we find out that the new nurse, now there are 3 new cases since this has happened, since he said they wouldn't get here. This week, it's a nurse. She called and said, I want to go to Cleveland. They said, go ahead, get on the plane.
But now get on the bus.
That's right, he didn't say that.
That's right.
But now they're following 800 people. Now they have to track down 800 people. Remember, we had that, we were talking about it last week. The president, when he was a senator, got on the floor of the Senate and was yelling about George Bush, saying, the Avery flu is coming, blah, blah, blah. So they put in all these new priorities, saying that airlines and the CDC could put people in quarantine. Mm-hmm. Then in 2010, without telling anybody, he lifts that and says that's not true. Now we have to quarantine.
Well, that's the big debate now, right? Is should we stop the flights from these Western African countries for coming in? And so far, the administration says no. Ted Cruz, he wants to pull Congress back in and take a vote.
The African nations say that that's what saved them by closing off the other countries.
Well, just because the administration has said something doesn't mean they won't, because they were telling us that they didn't need a czar.
Oh, that's right. But now we have a czar. And you know who the czar is?
At least the czar is really well informed on what's going on.
His name is Robert Klein, and he is now the Ebola czar. He was Joe Biden's chief of staff. He knows nothing about he has no medical or health background. But he, as Joe Biden's chief of staff, is good at disasters, because that's what Joe Biden
disaster management.
Disaster control is perfect for him.
It's all about politics.
Stand up, Mike. Stand up. Oh, jeez. Okay.
It's all about politics. And, and that's probably part of the problem here, is that we're worried about the politics of it rather than trying to save people.
That's right.
And I think because remember, when the government's coming after you.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
God, even hearing his voice makes me feel better.
I know. I know. So, but that's one of my favorite clips of Ronald Reagan, and there's a lot of them. I think we're going to start playing more famous quotes.
That's right.
And because there's lots of good stuff out there that we could put on, and I think people need to hear it again and again and again and again.
What we've been warning you about, ladies and gentlemen, these people can't control. They can't do anything. We don't want the government in charge of our health care. Look what's happening. This is the problem. Anyway, so we're going to go more into we're going to bring up some stuff in our regular in our IRS section. We're going to
the saga,
because
the saga is kind of slowed down because of the election. We could talk about the election.
That's true.
Because we have a local elections. It's 16 days away.
That's correct. So what we're worrying about here is there was a nice debate this week. Not a lot of people probably watch it because it's not like a presidential debate or anything. Billionaire Bruce Wayne. Oh no, his name is, I keep forgetting his first name's not Billionaire because that's the only thing that Pat Quinn calls him.
I know. Well, now they're doing that to Oberweis too. Millionaire.
Yeah, that's right.
Jim Oberweis.
Well, let's say millionaire Dick Durbin. The good thing about Jim Oberweis and Bruce Rauner is, at least they had a reason to be millionaires.
They earned it.
Yeah, they earned it. How did Dick Durbin become a millionaire besides him and his wife?
He is a millionaire, Dick
Durbin. Well, not that we care about that, but the fact is his wife is a lobbyist. I wonder how she got to be a lobbyist.
I don't know, Jim.
I wonder if being a senator makes it better for your wife to be a lobbyist.
I think that's common in the
political world. I believe it is too. Can my wife be a lobbyist?
No.
That would be nice. No, that's
she can't.
Oh, well. Anyway, so we have the elections coming up, and we want to make sure that it looks. Listen, the important thing is everybody get out and vote. You know, whether you can vote now.
It's going to be a turnout election.
Are you kidding? I mean, there's a million people who've already voted. You can vote 3 weeks out. You can vote from your bathroom. You can vote. I mean, the way they have it now, it doesn't matter. You can register the day of, the 2 weeks before, walk in the day.
We're running out of time. Yeah. We didn't even talk about family stuff. And happy birthday to your daughter,
right.
Jennifer.
My daughter Jennifer's birthday's this weekend.
My son went to homecoming last week. He had a girl that she's been hiding from us. She's a nice girl. So.
Very nice. It was nice pictures on the internet.
Yes.
And Jimmy's birthday was last week, so we're running short on time, but we wanted Steve.
My birthday's over.
Yeah, well, I remember mine too. But I'll remind you when it is.
Okay.
Steve, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how would they?
If you are having IRS problems or any financial problems, you should give us a call at 312-664-6649. Visit us on the web at ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Follow us on Facebook.
That's right. We want you to like us on Facebook.
Oh, like us on Facebook.
It's
and follow
IRS Radio Hour.
You can't follow us on Twitter yet, but
Facebook at /IRS Radio Hour.
Okay. Come on back. We'll be here.
Hi, I'm Stephen Leahy, a local Chicago attorney. I believe that God has given each of us unique abilities, and we are to use those abilities to help others. I have helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster. And if the IRS is threatening you with liens, levies, or garnishments, or you have years of unfiled tax returns, I want to help you. Compliance is the first step to resolving your IRS problem, and compliance begins with your 2013 taxes. Are you ready? If you call now, make an appointment, and visit my office for a free confidential consultation, we will complete your personal 2013 tax return at no charge, even if you don't hire me to resolve your IRS problem. Remember, I'm a local Chicago attorney. Investigate me. Simply Google Stephen with a V, Leahy, Leahy, reviews to find out what the Better Business Bureau and others have said. Or call me at 312-664-6649. Again, that's 312-664-6649. Visit us on the web at ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Call me today.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. I am your host, attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. And I want to mention our sponsors again because they're paying for this microphone, and that's OPM Tax Resolution and the Law Office of Stephen A. Leahy, PC.
God bless them.
And go to ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Lots of answers there if you have any financial problems. What are we going to talk about now,
Well,
Jim?
Steve, I believe this is the section, the segment that we go to for your blog. So what is on the blog entry this week? And this is Jim Leahy, non-attorney.
Attorney spokesman, not attorney spokesman.
That's a non-attorney spokesman. I heard that yesterday.
I know a lot of them. I am a non-attorney spokesman, but I am an attorney, and I have a blog that I add to every week. I put another chapter, I should say, because in the end, this is all I'm going to make a book of all this because
this is for posterity.
This is for posterity. That's correct. Okay, so last week we were talking. Remember, the blog is at ChicagoTaxTeam.com, and you can go to the blog and read what I wrote last week, and also the segments of the show of our blog post are called the V Blog, and those are on the website also under the IRS Radio Hour banner. So if you go to the IRS Radio Hour banner, and you'll see all the videos of the segments of the show.
Not only the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is also have video.
We do have video.
And you can see what behind the scenes, what's happening.
That's right. And I want to thank Jessica, Jim's daughter. Jessica is our editor, and she edits all the videos for us.
From Columbia College.
That's right. So she's very helpful.
I wish I would make it cheaper to go to Columbia College.
Love that girl. Love that girl. And now she'll hear it on the show. Okay, so we've been talking the last several weeks about the Illinois mortgage foreclosure law and how that all works. So first we talked about what a mortgage is and how they all work, and then we talked about the complexity, how they get bought and sold, and how there's so many parties involved. And then we talked about different ways to defend yourself in a foreclosure. One was litigation. Remember, litigation, bring motion after motion after motion. This could be very expensive. Maybe, and I brought up another maybe better way, which is discovery. Because it's so complex, sometimes we can buy the time you need simply by asking for the documents from the mortgage companies. And they don't always have them, and that might buy us the time. And what is the purpose of the time? Why are we trying to buy time? That's what we're going to talk about this week. Okay, the purpose generally is because of loan modifications. The way to save your home outside of Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and we'll talk about that next week, is loan modifications. That's what most people are looking for. They're looking to change the terms of their mortgage, the current mortgage. So remember, a mortgage modification is not a refinance. So I'm not getting a new loan. I'm simply changing some of the terms of the old loan. So under the Illinois mortgage foreclosure law, the mortgage company can sell my home at auction after a redemption period. The redemption period is set in the law, and the first redemption period is 7 months from the date all the parties, defendants, get served. Okay, so this is what happens. They come out and they give you, maybe the sheriff comes out, or maybe what they call a special process server will appear at your home, and they'll give you a copy of the complaint. Once you get that copy of the complaint, then the clock starts ticking, and you have 7 months from that date. Or, and this is another part of the Illinois mortgage foreclosure law, or 3 months from the date of judgment, whichever date is longest. Okay, so the strategy goes to push that date out as far as you can. What most people do is they get served and they start calling their mortgage company, and they rely on their mortgage company to help them in a loan modification.
Why is that wrong, Steve? Because the mortgage company is the one that's suing you. They're the one that wants it. They're trying to take away your house, and they know what the rules are, and they know that the clock is ticking. And if they can kind of delay and make you think that something's going to happen, such as a loan modification, that you won't pay attention to the foreclosure action in court, and you'll ignore it. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to ignore it. Very few foreclosure actions are defended in court. So many people just kind of throw up their hands and say, well, I guess I'm behind on my mortgage. They're going to take my house. Don't accept that. Fight, fight, fight. I always tell people, as long as you're in the house, anything can happen, but you got to try to make it happen. It won't happen by itself. Okay, so this is called the redemption period. Again, it's 7 months from the date you get served, or 3 months from the date of judgment, whichever is longest. And so we talked about trying to lengthen that judgment date the last several weeks. So now we're going to talk about loan modifications. Okay, loan modifications can take a long time. As I just mentioned, what happens is the mortgage company is going to start working with you, and they're trying to get to that seventh. They're trying to get a judgment against you and then have the sale date. And maybe right at the last minute, they're going to tell you, oh, sorry. At first, they're going to ask you for a whole train load of documents, and you're going to have to give it to them, and they're going to tell you they didn't get them, and you're going to send them again, and they're going to say, we didn't get everything, and then you're going to send it again, and then they're going to say, oh, these are outdated, we're going to have them again, and then they're going to review them, and this is going to take many months, usually. And then at the end, they're going to say, sorry, you don't qualify. And people would say, I just fought all of that, and now they're going to say no. And I was liken it to some insurance companies. There are some insurance companies out there that no matter what your claim is, whether it's a rightful claim or a wrongful claim, they're going to deny it. Because if they deny it, certain people that they would otherwise have to pay are going to say, well, I guess I just don't get the money, and they'll go away. Only the people who are persistent are going to get that insurance. The same thing here. They're going to bring you through the ringer. You're going to give all these documents. You're going to get very frustrated, and then they're going to say no, and you're going to throw your hands up and say, I guess I'm not going to get it. And because you haven't gone to court or haven't paid someone to go to court for you and help you lengthen that time, because I don't think you can lengthen the time yourself. People think that they can, but they don't understand how to go about the court process in order to buy themselves the time that they need. Okay, so in Cook County here, there's also a mediation program, and that can help lengthen the time. Also gets the mortgage company to come to the table and negotiate with you. They're supposed to send someone who has the authority to say yes or no
in a negotiation. So you sit down at a table, and the mortgage companies there, their lawyers, they're usually on the phone, whoever their official is, and then you sit there with your lawyer, and then and a mediator, and the mediator's job is to try to bring parties together. We want to come together, and
problem is there's two attorneys in the room.
Well, that's true too, and so so that's a good thing in Cook County that they have this mediation program. But you have to know how to get yourself to get into the mediation program, and it's not as simple as just asking, hey, can I get in the mediation program? That's not how it works. Again, that's why you need help.
You have to be in a secret club called the Lawyers Club.
That's right. Well, it is a secret club, and you have to go to law school to become a lawyer. Okay,
and they write the laws.
They do write the laws. But that's, again, I don't want to come down on lawyers. I happen to like lawyers, and lawyers help you, the right lawyers. Now, remember the lawyers on your mortgage company side,
they don't help.
They're not going to help you. They're on the other side, and they're trying to take your house away from you. So again, get help. Okay, so the strategy is knock that date out as long as you can and try to get a loan modification. Try once, they're going to be denied. Try again. Try a third time. I've seen people try 4, 5, 6 times before they get a loan modification. Okay, so it's not an automatic thing. You have to keep trying.
But it saves their house.
In the end, you want to save your home. And then now what happens if you can't get a loan modification? Well, that's something we're going to talk about later also in the weeks ahead. We're going to talk about, what happens because we talked about here in Illinois that we are a recourse state, and that the mortgage company, if I failed to pay and they get a judgment against me, can come after me for the difference between what I owe and what they sell it for. And now it's a big number. That's a big number usually. And we'll talk about different ways to protect you from that deficiency, because there are ways to do it. But first, you want to try to get a loan modification, and that means try. And if they say no, don't take no for an answer. Keep trying. And then if you get a loan modification, and I don't have time now because I wanted to talk about what exactly is modified in the loan modification. But suffice it to say, they generally will.
Is it covered in the blog?
It is, and the article does cover this, and it talks about the different aspects and different ways to get that modified.
So how would somebody get in touch with you, Steve?
So you can call me at 312. If you're in foreclosure now, call me, 312-664-6649. Go to the blog at chicagotaxteam.com.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Stephen Leahy, and for me, success comes when I help other people. That's why I became an attorney. I know the economy has taken a financial toll on many families and businesses, but I believe that they can recover from their financial problems if they just get the right help. I'm here in Chicago, and I know that if people improve their financial situation, they improve their lives, and I want to help. If the IRS is attacking you with liens, levies, or garnishments, if your mortgage company has threatened foreclosure, or collectors' calls are driving you mad, you need help. We listen to your financial situation, find out what's really going on, and develop a workable solution. Remember, I'm right here in Chicago, and your first visit is completely free and confidential. I will tell you on the spot what can be done and what it will cost. If you are looking for help, you've come to the right place. Call me, Stephen Leahy, at 312-664-6649. Again, that's 312-664-6649. Or visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com. Call me today.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560, The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. I am your host, attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
And I'm your non-attorney host.
I can say that every clip now.
No, I won't say that anymore. I don't want anybody to know.
What are we doing now, Jim? What's this segment?
Are you kidding? This is our ongoing segment, our IRS saga.
As the IRS turns. And remember, this is the segment Jim gets to talk.
That's right. No, I'm not going to talk anymore. No, I'm kidding. Oh, so, this is the part. This week we have. Remember, this saga started with our commander-in-chief assuring us.
You're saying no corruption? No. None.
No, there were some boneheaded decisions.
Bonehead decisions.
Out of a
but no mass corruption.
Not even mass corruption. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Okay.
Not even a smidgen
and this is why.
of corruption.
And now the other side is always saying this is a fake scandal.
Right. So
there is no scandal. There's nothing here. Close your eyes, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Go
Don't
home.
look. Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain.
Nothing to see here. Go home. Nothing to see. This is ridiculous.
These aren't the droids you're looking for. Keep going.
I love that one.
Yeah. So
because part of the news this week is that some of the groups who've been fighting for now 4 years have finally been approved.
That's right. They got approved this week, and there's one that's still unapproved for 5 years.
5 years. They've been out for 5 years. Oh, I think it's their anniversary's coming up next month. It'll be 5 years they've been waiting.
Well, the opposition, the Democrats in the Senate, which is where things go to die, all laws and everything else goes to die. It's a lot of senators too. But what we want to talk about. It is
the old man's club.
Well, speaking of that, Pat Roberts, who is the senator from Kansas, and he's having some trouble. Senator Roberts was asked, what will happen to these investigations if the Republicans were to take control of the Senate?
I'm a member of the Finance Committee. We have conducted an investigation with regards to the IRS taking away people's First Amendment rights and auditing them and, targeting the Tea Party and a lot of conservatives. And the effort was made by the majority, by the Democrats in the Congress to simply end that investigation, write a majority report and a minority report. I simply raised hell about that when we caucused. I said I would not sign the report. I would go to the floor and I would simply say this was a whitewash. All of our information came to a V, if you will. That V was Lois Lerner. Then all the hard drive losses and all of the ridiculous stuff that happened. If you follow the communication, if we can get it right up to the Treasury, to the top of the Treasury, and right up the top of the White House, I'm convinced that even Valerie Jarrett was involved. I think this was White House driven. I think all of the information that at least I saw leads to that. So we really have to finish this investigation. This is pretty serious business. This is egregious. We're talking about First Amendment rights and freedom of speech.
Speaking of First Amendment rights and freedom of speech, we talked a couple of weeks ago about how these things are just mushrooming into other
Actually, also don't forget freedom of religion
and freedom of religion. Now,
because remember that was the
that brings it up. What happened in Houston this week? When there was
first, let's talk about the freedom from religion, because we got to remind people, our listeners,
that's right,
that the IRS had come up with an agreement with this group called Freedom from Religion. I don't think that's in the Constitution.
No, I don't think so.
And they had an agreement where the IRS was supposed to monitor different religious organizations, like sit in the pews and listen to.
And remember, we talked about the Johnson amendment,
which is what they're using as a bludgeon to stop people from talking about things they don't want to talk about.
Correct.
And this brings us to Houston. Then,
so Houston, they passed an equal rights ordinance, and the city attorney had subpoenaed all of these.
That's right. They looked at certain pastors,
and they asked for their sermons. And they wanted they
asked for much more than their sermons, but they asked for all their sermons, anybody they talked to, anybody that's in there, because they wanted to find. Well, now the mayor came out and said, "Oh, no, that's not what we wanted. We didn't want that stuff.
Of course,
that was a misunderstanding. They misinterpreted it. Of course, they couldn't misinterpret the subpoena, which clearly said they wanted all sermons.
This is why we've been warning people that the IRS is so powerful that people are now just giving up things because they're afraid. They're afraid that the IRS is going to be used now as the Houston City Council is using them. They're going to use the IRS against them. As a matter of fact, one of our favorite congressmen came up with a commercial this week that we'd like to hear.
Oh, yeah.
The IRS tells you to hang on to 7 years of your personal tax information, but they can't even keep 6 months of employee emails. It's time to clean house at the IRS. Turn the tax code mess into a fair and simple system. Eliminate loopholes, lower tax rates, create jobs. Make it easier on hardworking taxpayers. Less of the IRS and more people working. I'm Paul Ryan, and I may get audited for approving this message, but it would be worth it.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of Mark Stein, too. So
that's right.
But if you're having IRS problems and they're coming after you, then you should call me at 312-664-6649. Visit us on the web at Chicago Tax Team.
Follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
That's right.
We'll tweet you. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Stephen Leahy, a local Chicago attorney. I believe that God has given each of us unique abilities, and we are to use those abilities to help others. I have helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster. And if the IRS is threatening you with liens, levies, or garnishments, or you have years of unfiled tax returns, I want to help you. Compliance is the first step to resolving your IRS problem, and compliance begins with your 2013 taxes. Are you ready? If you call now, make an appointment, and visit my office for a free confidential consultation, we will complete your personal 2013 tax return at no charge, even if you don't hire me to resolve your IRS problem. Remember, I'm a local Chicago attorney. Investigate me. Simply Google Stephen with a V, Leahy, Leahy, reviews to find out what the Better Business Bureau and others have said. Or call me at 312-664-6649. Again, that's 312-664-6649. Visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com. Call me today.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. I am your host, attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. I hope the listeners are having as much fun as I am.
Me too. Steve, this is the section of the show where we take a listener's question, and this comes from Dr. Richard Fader of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Dr. Fader says, please finish last week's blog. No. The question is, what is the difference between different kinds of business structuring?
Okay, so this was a question I think is important.
Thank you, Dr. Fader.
Thank you, Dr. Fader. And again, I think it's the Dr. Fader Ask a Question segment.
I'm new at this.
I know. We'll get you. You'll get you. Just follow my lead, Jim.
Okay.
Everything will be fine.
I am.
Okay, so because a couple weeks ago we were talking.
I'm done talking.
Okay. I'm not talking now.
No, I'm not talking now.
Okay.
I'll finish talking.
So a couple weeks ago we were talking about the differences in that. Well, actually, I think we were talking about some people will say, those Koch brothers don't pay any taxes.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And that's and
that was the sub S or S or whatever.
That's right. And so that's what we're going to talk about.
And you think I don't pay attention?
Different business entities. So when I go in business for myself, generally I start as a sole proprietor, right? So I just start selling things and I take the money, and any business that I produce is mine, and I'm taxed on it. So any source of income I'm supposed to pay income taxes on, and I report it. But there are other kinds of entities, and these usually people go into a corporation or what they call an LLC, and what they're trying to do initially is protect themselves, get protection from liability. So if something happens in my business, they don't come after my personal assets. So you start a corporation, and there are generally two types of corporations. There's a C Corp, and then there's the S Corporation. A C Corporation are the larger companies. But, any company can be a C Corporation, a small company. One guy could be a C Corporation. But the difference is a C Corporation is a separate entity for tax purposes. So if I start a C Corporation, my business takes in income and it has expenses, and whatever's left is defined as the profit. And under a C Corporation, the C Corporation has to file an income tax return and pay tax on the profit. Now, the owner of the company can take dividends, or sometimes the IRS will come in and impute it as income if you're using that income for your personal expenses, like your mortgage, like your grocery bill, which most people are going to use their business for, right, to pay their personal expenses. Mm-hmm. If you're using it, then the IRS will come in and impute it as income to you too. So now now I have to pay taxes, and I have to pay payroll taxes on that money also. So now it's taxed twice. So the C corporation pays a tax on it, and then if I take that money, I, as the owner of the company, also pay a tax on that money. So if I own stocks in a big company, let's say I own stocks in GM, okay, maybe not the government.
Maybe
that's
not Government Motors.
Maybe that's not a good one. But if I own a stock in any company and then they pay me dividends, then I pay tax on those dividends. And they've already paid money on the profit. They've already paid a tax on the profit. So it's double taxed. An S corporation, you can elect to be an S corporation. And an S corporation changes the way you're taxed. Now it's going to be taxed like a partnership. And I left that kind of entity out. I should have mentioned a partnership. And what happens with the partnership is all of the owners are the profit flows right to them and their income. So the corporation doesn't pay taxes on any profit because technically there isn't any profit. Mm-hmm. If there's any money left, it's taxed to the owners of the company, and they're taxed accordingly. It's the very same thing in a partnership, as we just talked about, as I just mentioned, or what they call an LLC. An LLC stands for a limited liability company. And a limited liability company is a lot like a corporation. It has less restrictions, less regulations. So if I'm a corporation, I'm supposed to hold meetings and shareholder meetings. And if I don't follow these regulations, they may, what they call, pierce the corporate veil and come after me for the liability. Well,
so you have to have a board, and you have to have a chairman and treasurer and all that?
Well, I don't think if I'm a single company, then I can't have a board because I'm the only guy in the company. Mm-hmm. Okay, but an LLC is called a limited liability company. It's fairly new in Illinois. I mean, my kids will always say, is it new? Mine new or your new? Mine new might be 25 years ago. Their new was last week. Okay, so so it might have been some years ago, but it goes back. It doesn't go back like a corporation, which is hundreds of years, right? Mm-hmm. So a limited liability company protects the owners from liability, and they're taxed as a corporation. I mean, as a partnership, just like an S corp. Things like that. So that's the difference in how these different entities are taxed.
We'll write a blog on that one day, won't we?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing. I think people a lot of people don't understand why it should be an S corporation. And usually if you're a small company, you should probably be an S corporation. I help people with that too, but that's not the focus of my practice. I help people with financial problems.
With financial problems. But it is interesting that we get into these different... so if people have any questions, they can call who?
They can call me at 312- an open tax resolution at 312-664.
Aren't they the ones who sponsor this show?
That is the sponsor.
Oh, my God.
Now I have to let me give you the number again. It's 312-664-6649. Visit us on the web at ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Follow us on Facebook. Like us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Stephen Leahy, and for me, success comes when I help other people. That's why I became an attorney. I know the economy has taken a financial toll on many families and businesses, but I believe that they can recover from their financial problems if they just get the right help. I'm here in Chicago, and I know that if people improve their financial situation, they improve their lives, and I want to help. If the IRS is attacking you with liens, levies, or garnishments, if your mortgage company has threatened foreclosure, or collectors' calls are driving you mad, you need help. We listen to your financial situation, find out what's really going on, and develop a workable solution. Remember, I'm right here in Chicago, and your first visit is completely free and confidential. I will tell you on the spot what can be done and what it will cost. If you are looking for help, you've come to the right place. Call me, Stephen Leahy, at 312-664-6649. Again, that's 312-664-6649. Or visit us on the web at ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Call me today.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560, The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
We're back. And I am your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy, on AM 560, The Answer. This is the IRS Radio Hour.
And we're rounding up the show. This flies by. The show flies by. Am I allowed to talk in this section?
Yes,
Can I come in? Okay. Oh, good.
Limited talk, Jim.
Okay.
Don't be quiet on me.
Oh, okay.
I'm nodding. You want to talk about the Bears, don't you?
Well, I like to talk about the Bears, but let's get to the World Series first. There is a God that the St. Louis Cardinals didn't make it again. I'm sorry, you St. Louis fans, but I'm sick and tired.
I have a problem with St. Louis Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers,
and I have a problem with San Francisco.
Yeah, but
they've been in there. They've been in there three times in 4 years.
I was thinking, is there going to be a day when my team can say we've been there 3 times in 5 years?
We're going to find that tape of Tim Kazurinsky doing that. And if I could talk to God, I would ask him one question. What do you have against the Chicago Cubs? Because over 100 years later.
So, well, one day we will be champions.
Yeah, I was watching the game the other night with my brother Steve. As a matter of fact, I was just like you.
I was there,
and I remember looking over and I when Kansas City was, and I remember saying to my son, Jimmy, in 2003, or was it? Yeah, and I looked over and I said to him, 5 more outs till the World Series. And then collapse, breakdown, everything. It was horrible. And I just and I remember, he actually said this to me, and I'll never forget it. He said, "Oh wait, no, it was never." I'm kidding. He actually looked at me and said, "How could you put somebody you love through this kind of torture?"
It is kind of torture.
And he thought I loved him, but
it's a good torture. I'm a huge Cub fan. Still am. I'm a huge Bear fan.
Oh yeah, speaking of the Bears, we're that's right, boys. We're back on the bandwagon. Here we go.
I'm always on the bandwagon.
The Bears. And anyway, last week we saved them, and we were ready to put in the Chicago Chipmunks clip, and we held out 1 week. When he calls them.
Oh, I forgot to bring that clip today.
The Chicago Chipmunks, maybe. So we were going to jump on them, but we didn't, and we thought, okay, let's give them one more chance. So our Bears are playing, and what we'd like to do is we're back with them. We're back in the bandwagon.
I know. And I'll be there watching on Sunday, and every Sunday. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, and thank God for the DVR, because that's during my church time.
I know, but that's also good. That's also good for when they win, because then I can watch it again. I can watch it in the morning and then watch it again.
And it gives me a lot of choices of radio stations to listen to when they win. Yeah, of course.
When they lose, though, I can't listen to the news.
Then we're done.
I can't watch it at night.
No, then I listen to not that I don't listen to The Answer all the time anyway. But then I'm stuck listening to the one. The
IRS Radio Hour, Jim?
Yeah, well, of course. We listen to that anyway, because that's on Sundays, and that doesn't have
anything. What time is that on?
Sunday at 5, and we don't even have to worry about missing the Bears game like last week when we had to worry about being interrupted. So a lot of
I remember that the show is podcast, so you and when you like us on Facebook.
I hate asking people to like me. Please like us.
Jim's had this problem his whole life about people liking him.
So nobody has.
So I wanted to, before we're going to go, though, I want to thank Debbie for her help. She's a big help on our show.
She's unbelievably competent and
I was going to say unbelievably unbelievable.
Well, that's true, too. Okay, isn't that what that means?
Yes. So Bear down, Chicago Bears.
And we're playing the Miami Dolphins. And then next week, we'll have to worry about...
Brett Favre came back and beat him at the last second last week.
Brett Favre is no longer playing there, Pop.
Listen, same guy. Same guy, Rodgers.
Same guy. Well, that's all right. We're playing them, and then the week later, we got to worry about Tom Brady.
And you come back next week at 5 o'clock on Sunday and come back to the IRS Radio Hour.
And we'll be here.
That's right. So see you next week.